But that's its kind of recent history. The other history, let's rewind back to 1891. 3.5 months or thereabouts, you're on the high seas and you sail down the bottom of Africa, round the Horn. We were standing there and I made you look at that little opening. So all of that there was for the set of Around the Twist, and you can see how lifelike it is. Yeah, this is like 3-point-something meters at its base here, and that's about the way it stays for the entire journey up. Just at this one, it's quite large at its base to support its mass. Before they built up, they actually went down 2.5 metres. This lighthouse had 2 lights, so there was once a secondary light at this height, but none of the other lighthouses in Victoria or South Australia or Tasmania for that matter had 2 lights. But instead of making shipping safer, it made it more dangerous because a number of ships spotted Cape Otway Lighthouse, ticked it off, came up this coast, and they thought they were looking at Split Point Lighthouse, but then they started to get a bit confused because they saw 2 lights and they started to second guess themselves. This is the globe you would have seen, and it's like, well, that's a bit of a talking point, you know. That kind of looks like the globe I would expect to see in a lighthouse.
Can it be seen?
Yeah, this one extends for a range of about 26 miles. Everyone's watching their head. There's quite a trip hazard. And I just let you wait 1 moment so I can secure the door back, because you'll see it's quite a hefty door. It's actually really good conditions to be out here today. But just go a little bit that way, Daniel, yeah, so we can all just sneak out. So we can see the chief's house. You can recognise it from the pictures. A few changes. Well, the new globes are about 48,000 candle powers, which is how, I couldn't tell if they were in lumens, which is a more modern measure. It's still all in candle powers here. 48,000, which on the big scale of things is not particularly powerful. The brightest light in Australia is Byron Bay. It's 100,000 candle powers, so double this. And then and then if you go, the brightest stations are the ones in the Garde English Channel, the coast of France, and on the Channel Islands. They're 1 million candle power. But I don't get too caught up in that. I think it's in relation to how much shipping, well, what distance do they have to go, and especially the channel, the fogs. We're not known for our fog, and the only ships that need to know about this lighthouse are the ones that are getting in close to going to Melbourne. So I'm sure we could have had a bright light, we didn't need to.
Is it really needed anymore, given
Good
that
question.
radar and
yeah, so pretty much everyone on the water these days, GPS, surely. How accurate is that? Okay, so Australia is a signatory to international agreements. The Australian Maritime Safety Authority is our federal organisation who are charged with maintaining lighthouses, and North America would have theirs, in the UK and every country that's got coastline. So we're part of a UN sort of agreement. So there are some vessels, so what we shouldn't ever think is that GPS is infallible. Recent examples, I know it's land-based, but I've mentioned Black Saturday once. I'm not a CFA member, but I'm pretty sure I read that GPS failed on that day in at certain atmospheric conditions.
What about that Italian ship that went aground? Did they have
I'm sure they did, but I think they had a skipper who kind of... Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, so GPS is not infallible, and at this stage there's an agreement that we're in signatory. But yeah, I don't think it doesn't. And sometimes just for a quick reference point. But again, GPS is so fast and generally considered so accurate. So, but the globe's not, the reason I do like you to have a look is, so the globe's not what's doing all the work, it's the lens, you know, which is the beautiful glass surrounds. So we have a chunk of one, certainly have a look through. Mercedes is a bit, have you had a little play with magnifying glasses yet, Mercedes, at school? If you haven't, you've got something to look forward to. Hold tight on that. You can put it up to your eye and have a look at it and move it in certain directions. So the idea, just like a magnifying glass, any light that leaves the globe, or all the light, will go into our lens and be refracted, and when it leaves the lens is magnified to a strength of thousands. Something about this is handcrafted, and now I noticed taking the plaque, that's one of my favourite things up here. Make sure a good look, there's a beautiful plaque there. So this was all manufactured in Birmingham, UK, and put in these packing crates and sent here. Another reason we don't go up here, those lenses up there are irreplaceable these days. The people who made them, they're gone. The plans, the drawings that they used to create are gone. The technology, the skills have been lost. If this was broken, it would be replaced by something not quite as aesthetically pleasant. I've visited the lighthouse, Cape Otway and Mawson's Promontory, both of them. All of the running gear is in place, but the light doesn't actually even shine. There's pretty much a light on a stick. I'm not kidding, 10 or 20 metres away from both those lighthouses. And probably there's a number of reasons why they don't operate, but in this one, it's the lens. If that lens went, we wouldn't continue operating up here.